On this episode of Carnage, we're dropping the 318 in Dad's ute. Well, that's done. Thanks for watching. Click like and subscribe. We'll see you next week. Nah, okay, we're only joking. We've got lots more to do. In fact, we've got to start by putting some pipes on this thing. So we had our fun. Now we've got to pull it out a little bit so we can put our pipes in there. But before we do that, we have to remove the driver's side rocker cover. Alrighty, here we go. Whoop. Now we're looking pretty good. Giving away all my tricks. So what I was doing there was covering a 2-inch block in rags and then jamming it under the sump, between the sump and the drag link. So now I can do this. The engine sitting in there in the car, and I can remove the hoist and we can get it up on the lift, bolt up a transmission. Happy days. Damn, that looks good. Right, now that we've got the engine loosely bolted in, it is time to bolt a transmission into this thing, but first a flex plate. And here's one I prepared earlier. This was actually bought for Mr. Dodgy, but Mr. Dodgy, being an externally balanced engine, required a big slice out of its flex plate. So we had this one sitting in the pile, and now it's time to shine. So, nice SFI, very heavy duty unit, and multiply drilled for 727 and 904, so very goodly. All right, we'll grab some Loctite, grab our bolt, whack it in.
Rotate till you line up the holes.
We're in. Up we go. So I suspect I've left the bolts for the transmission up in the tray. So we're going to lower this transmission all the way down. Get the trans jack out of here, lower the car down, go get our bolts, jack it back up, put the bolts in, make it happen. Do we need to talk about my very long bar? I think we've all seen it. Right. Okay, let's jack this transmission up, put our cross member in. Then I suspect we're going to have to do something with the engine mounts. So as suspected, and as we sort of foresaw when we trial fitted this setup originally, the top of the bell housing is sitting against a trans tunnel. And I suspect our engine mounts are higher than they're kind of supposed to be. Remember, the engine mounts that we've used are not actually for this model of car. They're for the AP6 VC style of engine bay and cross member, and that's a very different setup to what we have here. So we're going to have to do some rejigging with these engine mounts, and that was kind of always on the cards, and that is why they aren't painted. The engine mounts, you may have noticed, are in a raw finish, and they were sent to us that way because we imagined that we were going to have to modify them. At first, it all looked hunky-dory and looked like it was all going to fit, and that would have been great. And they're remarkably close, there's no doubt about it. Considering they're not made for this car, they're very close to fitting. But what we're going to have to do is pull the engine mounts off, do some reworking of them, and sit the engine in there just a fraction lower than it is, so it's not hitting the top of the trans tunnel. And so the engine's a little bit lower in the engine bay, because we've got a lot of clearance here, probably more than we've got any right to have, to be honest. So if we can get the engine down an inch or so, I think that would be a good thing. So it looks like we're going to have to modify these engine mounts and drop the engine down an inch or so. Shouldn't be too hard. Like I said, we were always looking to do that anyway. I'm going to use this support beam just to support the engine while we undo the mounts and remove them. But yeah, should do the trick. So basically, I'm going to have to cut the ears off these, grind them smooth, and then re-weld the ears in a different position to lower the engine. feel some bite on it. Oh yeah, that feels biting. Okay, so that's the driver's side mount. Lock our nuts. So now that we've broken our engine mount down into its component parts, I'm going to bolt these plates in place and then work out how much I have to shave off these to yeah, make it right. So we've used our digital inclinometer to kind of level up the engine in relation to the K-frame, but the level where we've got it at the moment is now positioned too far to the side, because what we've used to kind of level it up is pushing the engine to the side. So what I'm going to do is get the transmission jack under the sump, kind of get the transmission jack to level it up to where we have the K-frame, and then we'll be able to jiggle it across to where we need it, so we can get our mounts in the right spot, because at the moment the engine's too far that way. Heaps of clearance on that side, zero clearance on that side, so we've got to make some adjustments. Okay, so we've got the side-to-side positioning right. Double check the angle. Just needs to angle up slightly. I think we're almost there. I guess I should check to make sure we still got clearance on the tunnel, which is what this is all about. Oh, it looks like miles of clearance. All right, how close is this? Whoa, look at that. I think I'll just clean that up and send it. Come to me, my pretties. Okay, before we weld anything in place, I'm going to do one last check. Make sure it's all level, or as level as we can make it. Okay, so we've got a couple tacks on those. We'll pull them out, fully weld them, chuck them back in. Hopefully, all will be good with the weld. So as you can see, one of the ears broke off, mainly because I didn't use enough juice to tack it on, but the tack locations do show up, so we can put our ear in the right spot. Just check the bolt goes through perfectly. So we've got our engine mounts done. They're roughly painted. They're not quite dry yet, but the word is there's further restrictions coming. So we need to get this done. We need to get it happening. Anyway, let's bolt these suckers in and see where we are at. This is where these are handy. You can get them in there and wiggle things into place. Just realised I haven't painted the upper parts of the mounts yet. Oh well. We'll make it all work, and then once it's all done, we can pull it apart again and redo certain bits. I want to just see it in there. All right, well that's looking pretty good. Now I can stick my hand between the trans tunnel and the bell housing, which I could not do before. It was hard up against it before. So that's good, that's a win. Engine sitting a little bit lower, so we should be able to get our air cleaner under the bonnet. It's no longer putting the rocker cover up against the master cylinder. It's all looking nice and level. I think great success. Very happy. So from here, I guess we need to just start doing stuff up. Need to put the extractors on properly. They're only just loosely bolted in place, so we've got to put some gaskets in there, do them up properly, start wiring up the engine, get a carby on there, get our radiator in here, get this thing fired up. But none of that is going to happen this episode, I don't think. So we'll see what our Lord and Master, Dan, has to say. Maybe you'll see all this on a future episode of Carnage.